afternoon. My name is Sheila Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 26 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Combating Social Engineering Attacks, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Save the date for our next cybersecurity webinar, Building a Cyber Resilient Business, on June 25th. We are recording today's webinar, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted and the chat feature is turned off. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box, and we will address them at the end of the session. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session, Kiana Gainey. Kiana is a 20-plus year IT and cybersecurity industry veteran and has served as Chief Executive Officer for SecureTech 360, located in Springfield, Virginia, since its inception in 2010. She is also the cyber industry specialist for the Virginia SBDC. Welcome, Kiana.
Thank you, Sheila, and welcome to everyone. If you're in the Virginia area, it's simply a beautiful day. So I hope that we can keep that momentum today and talking about one of my favorite topics, which is how to prevent or how to be prepared in the event of social engineering attacks. The reality, we'll just jump right in. The reality of cyber attacks, regardless of your size, all businesses at this point are at risk, right? Small businesses may feel like they're not just target. They may not feel like they're targets for cyber attacks, either due to their size or the perception that they don't think they have anything worth stealing. Well, recent news have shown that that is not the case anymore. Only a small percentage of cyber attacks are considered targeted attacks, meaning the attacker group is going after a particular company or a group of companies in order to steal specific data. So for example, if you're a small business and maybe you're processing credit cards, it may not be that they're trying to get access to your data in your company. They may be trying to create an issue for the credit card company, right? So the majority of cyber criminals, they don't discriminate. They target vulnerable computer systems. So that can be if you're a Fortune 500 company, or if you're a small business. It can even be a home user. So today we'll talk about why small businesses are targets, and also recognizing some red flags so that you can be able to, one, educate yourself as a small business owner, even if you're a party of one, or if you have a very small staff. We can talk about some common tactics, some reasons why small businesses have been on the rise for targets. Most cyber criminals know that small businesses are the heartbeat of America, or even all over the world. But one of the things they also know is that we have limited resources. I'm a small business owner as well. And so this is personal to me as well, because I understand, being a small business owner, limited resources, we make what we have work. And also sometimes we don't have the training necessary to be able to, one, educate ourselves or even educate our workforce. And then we also have this trusting culture, right? Because we're small in nature, we trust, we don't necessarily always verify. But some red flags that we just need to be aware of is unsolicited communication, right? There are several types of different social engineering type techniques that you may have seen or you may have even experienced. Phishing, which is usually by way of email. You get a strange email from a source that may look very similar to someone you've probably done business with in the past, or it may be something that's from the body of the email. It may look like there's some misspelled words, but it looks like it's looking for something from you that maybe you've given in the past, or they can even target and use someone in your organization and use their email and say, hey, we need you to send something over right now. Anytime there's a sense of urgency or even a threat, I've even seen the one saying, oh, send over $1 million today, or I'm going to take down your entire system. They may even request some sensitive information. they may impersonate, they may create this sense of urgency. One thing that you can do is, one, be prepared. Make sure that you understand that when you receive an email, a phishing email, read the entire email, look at the address bar and look at the email address to see if it says something like AT&T@gmail.com. AT&T will necessarily have a Gmail account, and they wouldn't necessarily send you an email. And then if you look at the content within the email of the email that's being sent, if there's some misspelled words or things that doesn't look completely right, do not respond and do not forward it out to anyone else. Anytime someone is sending you something that's creating an urgency, you need to do this now. Take some time, vet. We talked about the trusting culture, right? Trust but verify. If there is a 1-800 number you can call to say, hey, I received this email from this organization and they're saying they need X, Y, and Z. Are they requesting some sensitive information? I wanted to make sure that it's coming from your organization. Those simple steps will save you a world of trouble, right? And understanding why social engineering is a thing, by definition, is simply they're just using it a way to manipulate people to get information. Sometimes sensitive information, sometimes confidential information. Common targets are small businesses, employees, customers, and even regardless of your size. I always use this recent year, outside of some of the larger corporations that you end up and see on the news, MGM was a great example. The disruption that it caused for their hotel guests, they couldn't check in, all because someone was able to gain access to their systems by someone that worked the help desk. So that wasn't necessarily from a small business. That was from an employee who didn't understand how to deal with someone, trying to get information from them and wanting and giving out sensitive information and not vetting the what they needed from them. We talked about that fake emails, phishing, fake emails and websites, pretexting, which is like fabricated scenarios. Like there could be some scenarios that they're putting in place to create that sense of urgency, or even sometimes baiting. They give you these enticing offers. Click now and you'll save this, or click now. Anything time you receive something that wants to take you to somewhere else, or take the URL to somewhere else, make sure you read that URL and make sure you type it somewhere else to see if it's legitimate. Don't just click on it, because sometimes they'll mask it as one type of URL, but it's taking you somewhere else. So they can get very creative. So we have to be, very vigilant these days. So if something happens, you want to be able to be empowered to recognize if a social engineering attempt is happening. Unsolicited communication, again, the urgency and threats, they want all this sensitive information. They're impersonating trusted entities. There's always this sense of urgency. Stop, think before you click. DHS had a whole campaign that was all around stopping, thinking before you click, because just that taking that pause can also help you be able to recognize if something is happening in real time and be able to take the necessary steps to make sure that your information is not being sent to an unauthorized source. Some prevention strategies. My favorite, it's regardless if you're a Fortune 500 company or a small business, is employee training. Having regular awareness programs, doing simulated phishing exercises with your employees. And even if you don't have the resources, there are a plethora of organizations out there that will give you some employee training that you can use. We have some links at the end of the presentation that you can take advantage of, and they have some, even if it's free of charge or just a very small fee, it's worth the investment. But even if you want to start small, even in my organization, we put together PowerPoint presentations. And when someone is being hired onboarded, part of their onboarding process. We have security awareness training. And if you work for other organizations or larger corporations, they also sometimes have this as part of their hiring practices. So something we're familiar with, but you can simply put this on a PowerPoint presentation. It could be, just some simple tips just to raise awareness. And then also once a year or even on a quarterly basis, or if something happens, we do simulated exercises. And it could be something as simple as a tabletop, getting everyone in the room and you going through some scenarios, or even in my staff meetings, I'll say to my employees, did you see this email? Okay, here's an example of what was wrong with that email. And we kind of walk through it and talk about what steps to take if something was to happen. And then we also put together a policy about verification. Always verify the identity before sharing information. I'm a big advocate of picking up the phone. It's not an outdated technology. It's something that we can use as a resource and a tool to be able to make sure that we're verifying the identity of the person that's wanting us to share information. And then having and creating those security policies that have clear guidelines on how to handle data, what to do with any type of communication in the event of an actual attack, what to do and who to contact. Those are all very important. Outside of some prevention strategies, incident response is also very key. Having the employee training, the verification process, the security policies, it clearly identifies who, what, when, and how. And then there's some technical measures as a preventive strategy that you can also implement. If you're using like Office 365 or any of the email applications that are out there, they all have email filters where you can simply just go into your settings and set those email filters to be able to filter out some information. Like if you want things to go into junk, or even, you can, if you get something that seems a little suspicious, you can also, put some filters in place to make sure that you're alerting the application owner that this is an email that you're receiving and it seems suspicious. And they'll also note that as well. You can also do things like MFA, which is short for multi-factor authentication. We all have it. We all use it in some form or fashion, usually with your banking. You are any of your, like with my credit card companies, if I log in, they'll send me a code and then I'll put the code in. So we're used to using those technologies. And that was one of the reasons. That's another layer of protection. And then doing regular software updates. If you're using certain applications or software within your environment, having them on a regular schedule, because more than likely those software updates may have some security features or maybe have some additional things that you want to make sure are in place. Because I'm so sorry, I think I lost my video. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. Let's go back. Let's see if it's back here again. A little glitch. Can you see my slides?
You had them a minute ago and they went away. So there we go. I see them
okay,
now.
They're back. Okay, so sorry about that. It just went completely down. Again, these are things that happen with technology. And then incident response is another great preventive strategy. If something happens, you put together a plan on what to do. If you need to change passwords, if there's some systems you need to take offline, if you have an IT department, notify your IT if you don't. And if there's something that's a major issue, there is some reporting that you can do to the local authorities or to the FBI. Analyze and then think about ways that you can improve your measures so that moving forward, if something like this happens again, you can also put those into your employee training, and also if you needed to update some of your security policies that you have in place. So again, technical measures are always great. We talked about this a little bit. Email filters, anti-spam software can reduce some of your phishing emails. Multi-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security, and then also regularly doing system patching can keep you secure as well. So when you get those notifications to do the regular software updates, make those updates, because those patches can help with helping with your security as well. So in conclusion, we went over a lot about social engineering, but it comes down to two major points. Awareness and prevention are crucial. Implementing key strategies to combat social engineering is the way to keep you being more proactive when it comes to social engineering versus reactive, but then also putting together those policies, those procedures, the training, the incident response will help you if you have to be reactive in incidents where we can't prevent everything from happening, but we can also be prepared. I always say preparation is the greatest weapon that we have, regardless of our size, regardless of our organization. Prevention is always key. And one of the great tools and resources that is low cost and low entry is always going to be employee training. There are some other things you can do as a small business owner. You can also think about things like cyber risk insurance. If there is an incident, then they can help you also navigate that as well. Hiring maybe a subject matter expert if it's not something that it's not something in your wheelhouse, helping them help you put together those things like a security plan that I talked about, the incident response plan like we discussed, helping them even maybe put together some training slides. If that's not something that you want to do, there are resources that you can utilize to be able to put together a very cohesive security posture that will be able to help you with navigating social engineering. And here, like we talked about earlier, there are some great resources and links here in the presentation, and we'll send this out, but some good ones. The SBA has some great resources about how to manage your business, how to strengthen your cybersecurity. CISA.gov, love CISA. So a wealth of information for cyber guidance and also how to implement cybersecurity for your small business. They also have some events and different information about how to avoid social engineering and phishing attacks. They have some resources and tools and resources to help you even navigate this wonderful world of cybersecurity. They also even have a special page that's all about reporting, who to report, when to get the local authorities involved, when to get the FBI involved, what you will need. And then DHS, they have a whole Stop, Think, Connect campaign that's amazing. And then even in October, which is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, I know we're a little early, there's a wealth of information that comes out. So if you're thinking about being proactive, even today, coming to this webinar to get information, these are tools and resources that you can incorporate in real time into your small business to be able to help be on the defensive side of social engineering. Any questions?
We don't have any questions yet, but if you all have anything that's been on your brain about cybersecurity, this is your chance to pick Kiana's brain and see what she can share with us.
Yes. And I also wanted to add, I know I talked about phishing as one of the major social engineering techniques and tactics, but there are a few too. Phishing is a new one. It's not really new. It just has a name for it. When you get the fraudulent phone calls, when someone's trying to get you to reveal personal information, they may even say they're from a credit card company. They really, really target the seniors. I have my godmother and her friends are always like, I got a call today and they were the IRS said they needed my information. I'm like, the IRS wouldn't have your personal information. The IRS will not contact you by phone. They still use mail, traditional mail, as their method of communication to their population. But because we have these conversations, they're like, I didn't give out my information. I hung up immediately. And so even in our personal lives, as we are learning about how to be on the proactive side and putting these prevention measures in place, these are things that we can do in our everyday life as well. And then smishing is another one, which is the fraudulent text messages that's meant to trick you as well. You'll get those. There's one that's been really going around from the UPS store or FedEx saying you have a package, click here. And I'm like, I didn't even order anything, right? And so I always say, if you've received something that you wasn't looking for, right? Or I really wasn't ordering anything, it's someone sending me something, before you click verify. So it's the same thing. So even not just thinking about how to protect yourself as a small business owner, but just how to protect yourself as a consumer as well. I always say, think before you click. Utilize these resources. They're there to help and support you. We're here to support you as well. You can always email us at help@sbdc.org. We also have some upcoming webinars and training, even our website. I'm doing a shameless plug for our website. There is a great information on there. There are previous webinars. So if there's particular things that I brought up today that you're like, I want more information, you can even use that as your first stop over, but take advantage of the resources to educate yourself, to keep yourself, safe.
We have a couple questions.
Okay.
That was a great, though, recap. And so the first question was, how do you find and select a good cyber forensic services company?
Just with trust with verify, right? Look for references. There's someone that's probably used them. I'm a big component of, I usually go to my network of people because they're my trusted advisors, my trusted folks, and say, have you used this person? Ask even them if someone in your network has never used them before. Say to them, can I get some references of some of the work that you've done? And call the references. The same way like you vet an employee, anyone that you're using for products or services, do the same thing, right? Because you want to make sure that if you're making the investment, that it's going to be worth your investment. And also read the privacy policies, read the terms and conditions of any type of business relationship or anyone that you're hiring for services, and make sure that you're clear about what you're receiving and what the services that they can provide. So for instance, if cybersecurity is just like with anything, it's not a one size fit all. I wouldn't go to my podiatrist about my back, right? Even though they may understand, the human body and all different components, their specialty is feet. So the same thing with a cybersecurity expert or advisor. Find out what their specialty is. Because if their specialty is leaning more towards something else and not for the services that you need for your particular business, they can probably advise you and help you to a point, but they may not be able to give you the specialized support that you need for your business.
Exactly. Okay, so the next question, you mentioned fake websites. Is there a way to identify those? Or is it pretty much the same as the emails?
It's pretty much the same as the emails. Read the URL. If something looks fishy, something doesn't look right. And if it's a new site and if they don't have the SSL lock at the top where you can see that there's some security there, those are usually, especially if you're going to be processing credit card information or if you're buying something. I know I have a lot of family members always come to me about everything, but I know a lot of people do a lot of purchasing via social media, and they'll send them to different links. And the first thing I'm saying, if they're sending you to a different link, make sure and verify that website has some form of security, especially if you're purchasing something like a new lipstick or anything, because if they don't have any security on that site and your credit card information gets leaked, also read the privacy policies, read the terms and conditions on how they're going to be using information, how they're processing your information, how they're securing your information and your data. Because you don't want to get those, I always call the letter in the mail to say, hey, sorry to inform you that you have been a part of a major breach and you need to we're giving you free credit reporting for a year and you got to freeze your accounts and, and that happens, right? And so make sure you trust but verify. I said all I could say to go back to the same thing. Trust and verify.
Okay, any other questions? If so, just please drop them in the Q&A box.
So, if you think of anything, here's our email address, here's our website, here's some links to our webinars, and then we'll also be sending out the slides, and then we have another webinar coming up next month. So just stay tuned, stay connected. We're trying to get as much information out to our community to make sure that you guys are protected and that you have the information you need to keep yourself and your small businesses from ending up on the news.
Very good point. Okay, I don't think we have any other questions. So it is a beautiful day. Anyone who's, like you said, in the Virginia area, so maybe we're all anxious to get out and grab an
and
outside
enjoy
lunch or something. So I will wrap us up. Oh, wait. Okay, so someone's just, yes, it's replying, I do. So, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I do want to thank Kiana again. I love your webinars. They're straight to the point. They tell us what we need. You give us great links. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone who attended today and remind you that you will receive an email with a link to the recording and to the slides. If you would like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and other SBD resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. We do hope to see you all at our next session, and just take care and have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye-bye.